Hello, and welcome back to another development video. This devlog will be taking a look at the concept of breadcrumbing and funneling as I begin to create the proper four worlds for beta testing. Breadcrumbing is the idea that in a game that is fairly open, developers usually create breadcrumbs to help guide the player along without forcing the player into linearity. Breadcrumbs can be, for example, important dialogue, landmarks, or objects that you find. Funneling is some dev-intended ways to help redirect the player if they went a different route and want to refine their way back to these breadcrumbs. So, I have a new file here, having just completed the tutorial. I named my character Josh for some reason. I just picked a random name, and I'll boot the game up. When you start the game after the tutorial, the main quest simply tells you to investigate each of the four worlds for signs of your body thief. There is no determiner on which world to go to first, which is why I have the player, when you first start a new game, decide on your backstory to give you some information on the four worlds and help push the player to a specific world first if they are having trouble deciding which world to go to. If I go to the warp portal and choose to warp, I have stylized backgrounds for the city and the mountains, the two worlds that I have properly created so far. These backgrounds give you a general idea of how the area is going to be set up, but is of course not an exact scale and is meant to be more stylized than specific. So let's warp into the city to see how I've set up some breadcrumbs. I start on a street in the outskirts of the city next to a destroyed vehicle. I'm aware from the tutorial that I can use the search button to see that I can interact with the car, where I am told that I need certain parts in order to repair the vehicle. Along the bottom of the screen, I can see a junkyard with those spare parts, but I cannot pass the garbage to get to these spare part pieces. If I head to the right, it leads to a dead end, and up leads away from the junkyard, so logically, I would go left rather than up, although I am not forced to go left. As I walk left, I come across street signs with my player's face on it. The game tells you that your quest is updated, and the quest log says that you found your face plastered on street signs, which is surely the work of your body thief, and you should ask around on what's happening. The nearest person you see is Trish, with a quest marker. Trish gives you a quest to find her missing tools from the junkyard, and offers to give you keys to her mini-dozer if you help her. She also tells you how to repair vehicles if you need more explicit instruction. Now, as a player, you're given two main choices. You can go into the junkyard to get spare parts and repair that vehicle, while making the additional choice of whether you want to do the quest that Trish gave you to unlock the mini-dozer. Alternatively, the player may want to know more about why their face is on signage, or simply cares more about completing the main quest before the side quests. These breadcrumbs gives the player clear choices to make, while still indicating what is a main quest and what is fun side stuff to do. However, the player does not need to do any of these things. They could have ignored all of the breadcrumbs that were set up because they simply want to explore and make their own path, which is a completely viable way to play. If I go up and walk around, all the general NPCs are there, and I can ask each individual about why the player's face is on signs around the city. Based on the type of general NPC, there's a few different pre-described responses that they'll give you. I don't want to spoil the plot, so I'll stop this main story progression now. But I will mention one interesting feature that I added. You can ask any general NPC for directions. This option is to either funnel the player back to the breadcrumbs by having direction markers linked to areas that have designated plot progression, but also tells you where shops are and also the general layout for that world. I have it coded so the game checks the current position of the player so that the directions change depending on where you are when asking, to help give further immersion that you're in a three-dimensional space and not in a square box. So, for example, if you are southwest and the location you're asking about is north central, the game will tell you to go northeast. If you are northeast, the game will tell you to just go west. This little feature helps you to navigate the world a lot better, while, like I said, increasing immersion. And of course, in the game menu, you can use the map to be able to see how many royal souls you have left to collect in that particular world, and how many warp portals are left to find. If I go and find another warp portal, the map will expand to show you more of the city world, or whichever world you are in. Like I've said, I've finished 2 main quests in 2 main worlds. The remaining 2 worlds, the castle and isles, will be what I'm working on next. The next devlog may take a little while because making these worlds is fairly time consuming, but I hope that with the next devlog, I will be crossing off the last few things that are on my list. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.